Hello, hello. How are we doing today, my friends, my family, all of my Action Lab rats out there? Hope you guys are having a fantastic Wednesday. We are here live with you here on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch, live in action here, getting you through your week, making sure you have all the necessary information, all the entertainment value, everything you need in the sports world. So thank you all for being here and popping right into the channel. Really appreciate all you guys being here. Hey, thanks for bearing with me. I was running a little behind here on getting things live, but thank you for hanging in there and being a part of the show. Now, I am running solo tonight, so I have some bad news. I have a little bit of just a letdown, unfortunately. We are not going to have our guest. He ended up having to another thing that popped up that ended up taking him away from us tonight. But he is going to be on the show. I wasn't lying when I said we were going to get some special guests in. So we're going to keep you tuned on when that's going to be. Scotty is obviously going to be out of town once again. He's always traveling. He's all of a sudden he has a lot of plans. But you know, it is what it is. He's got a lot of stuff going on. Which, hey, you gotta enjoy those family functions, right? You gotta make sure you're keeping everybody happy in that front. So I hope he has a great time on his little vacation with the family. But I am here with you, just as I am each and every Wednesday and Sunday. So if you're new here, my name is Chris. I am your host for the Action Lab. We have a big game tonight, by the way. The Denver Nuggets are in action. Only NBA game on the slate tonight. So we're going to keep monitoring that on the waves here, trying to get you all of those updates as they come and hit the live stream here. So, hey, how's everybody doing? Ella Cola in the chat. Happy Wednesday. Good to see you. Hope. By the way, I always say this before. You know what? Solo streams are impressive. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So every time I have a solo stream, I always call on you guys. I'm always asking for you guys to just keep me company in here. Make sure that you guys are chatting me up and, you know, whatever you guys want to talk about. Whether that's, you know, your favorite sport, your favorite thing, how your day was, you throw it out there. We'll have some fun. It's not just about me. It's about you guys. You guys are the one that keep this show rolling. So make sure you throw in all your comments, your chats, everything into the chat, and we'll make sure we're answering your questions and having a fun time together, right? I love to see all those familiar faces, so make sure you are representing all of our lab rats and having some fun with us tonight. So just want to dive in here real quick. There was a lot of stuff going on in the world of sports. So usually on Wednesdays we cover our all of our top stories across the country. So Wednesday shows are dedicated for that. And then we have our Sunday shows dedicated towards, some local stuff. We have a lot of surprises actually coming in the coming months. We have a lot of new things, not a new show ideas that we're going to be hitting you with. So keep tuned for all those, but those are in the works. So hit that follow button if you haven't already so that you get all the alerts of every time we go live. That's on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. So that always helps. We really, really appreciate it. I want to give a big shout out to all those previous followers. So Sosa Dagoon and Resac, thank you for following while on the previous channel, on the previous chat. So thanks for diving in with us. But let's real quick. There was a few stories, and I wanted to dive in. We might as well just dive into the news rundown, because the news rundown is going to be hot tonight. It's going to be really, really good. So we're going to let's get. I say we just get started on that. Let's have some fun with it, and let's dive in. So, Ella Cola, we look forward to have this secretive guest. Yeah, no, it's going to be a lot of fun. We're not just one. There's a couple others I'm talking to try to get in on the lab action as well. So I can't give anything away yet. I can't tell anything, but it's in the works. So stay tuned and always be ready with those notifications. Let's dive in. It's already we're running a little behind tonight, so let's not waste some time. Let's dive right in and let's get into the first story of the day. We have the Nuggets score, by the way. Nuggets and Suns, 22-18 so far. Phoenix up on top, and we'll be monitoring that. It's only about a minute left in the first, so we're going to make sure that hopefully these Nuggets get the big win tonight. This is a big, big win for Denver if they can pull this off. So getting a split on the road, I think they came out fast last game. They're coming out a little slower this game, but if that's the case, I'd rather it be reversed. I'd rather come out a little slower and ramp up as opposed to the alternative. So it didn't work out too well for us the first time. But some big news this week for the Denver Nuggets, and something that might boost them in this game tonight, is the official MVP of your Denver Nuggets and the NBA, Nikola Jokic. Nikola Jokic was finally, after all the talk, after all the speculation, it wasn't a surprise, but there was a lot of people out there that have and still have trouble with this MVP winner. So let me just throw this out there real quick. Obviously, Nikola Jokic has had a fantastic run when it comes to getting out and winning this MVP this year. So 7 years ago, let's just go on a history lesson here. 7 years ago, the Denver Nuggets used the 41st pick in the NBA draft on an unheralded center from Serbia. Now, this is crazy, but I went back. There were some Twitter feeds that were popping in as well. When he was picked, 41st, by the way, fun fact, he was picked 41st during a Taco Bell commercial. That's how buried this was. He was there was how they break the commercial, they still have the ticker on the bottom and they have the draft order on the left, and then they have this commercial that breaks, and they were like, oh, it's a 41st pick, let's just switch over to a commercial break. And they wanted to get their Taco Bell commercial in, and meanwhile the future MVP of the league was getting drafted at that spot. And it was just, that's just kind of how this whole thing has gone. He's been under the radar his entire career. He's still under the radar, given the fact that no one's giving him love in this MVP race, saying he didn't even necessarily, win this over some of the other players that might have been better to win this award this year. Ella Cole, it's about time, Nuggets. Seriously, he's a boss. Yeah, he is absolutely a monster, and we're going to dive into that here shortly. So on Tuesday, Nikola Jokic became the 6th international player to win the MVP of the NBA. He also became the first center since Shaquille O'Neal did it back in 2000, and he's doing that to win the top honor. Oh my gosh, the baby picture. Yeah, there are some pictures of Jokic, and you're just like, he's a chubby little kid and everything else. It's just the funniest thing to see. I mean, he wasn't exactly in shape in his first few seasons here in Denver. He's definitely gotten better when it comes to staying in shape since this last offseason. But it's paid off. It's paid off. He becomes the first player drafted in the second round to win the league's top individual honor in the common draft era. He also joins Hakeem Olajuwon, Tim Duncan, Steve Nash, Dirk Nowitzki, and Giannis Antetokounmpo as international winners of the award. And keep in mind, it's been an international award over the last 3 years. Now, let's see. We have the last 3 seasons straight have been international players that have won the MVP. So, pretty impressive that, a lot of, you got LeBron James in the league, you got Kevin Durant, you got James Harden, you got all these big-time players. But what does that say about, them staying healthy? I mean, that was the big reason why Jokic ended up winning this award in the first place, was the fact that he stayed healthy and he played as many games as he did. Otherwise, maybe Joel Embiid ends up taking this award down, and a lot of people think that he probably would have if he would have played as many games. But over the course of, not to take away from Embiid, Embiid's a monster and he's a fantastic player, but he just doesn't, he's not always on the court. So that's just always that knock against Embiid, which I think if he stays healthy next year could be, that another center to win again this MVP award. But so Nikola Jokic becomes the first MVP winner to play in every single regular season game since Kobe Bryant did it in 2007-2008. Now, another funny little story that I came across while we were prepping for the show was the fact that in 2019, so Kobe Bryant had this little thing where he was challenging players to do certain things in the league, players that he really liked that he thought can have a big potential. So, it was, I think he picked Bradley Beal to be the scoring title leader. He picked, every year he picked like 4 or 5 players to do certain things. In 2019, so, man, it's kind of crazy that Kobe was rip Kobe. He challenged the Joker, Nikola Jokic, the Mamba Challenge to win the MVP of the NBA. And look what happened. Ended up winning that and getting Kobe that validation for that Mamba Challenge, which is kind of, that's a fun story, right? That's a really, really cool story. Now, the fact that Nikola Jokic was on Kobe's radar at that point, I mean, he was still up and coming. He wasn't where he was at this point, but at the same time, that little chubby guy on screen there ended up growing up to be the MVP that even Kobe had faith in. And what makes this even more fun is the fact that, this is a team thing, right? This is a team game. Jokic didn't even necessarily shoot for being in the NBA or winning the MVP. It wasn't on his radar when he was a young kid, right? Now, one of those quotes is fantastic. He was like, to be honest, I didn't even think about being in the NBA. After, when he was a kid, this was I think this was taken when he was a little kid or a lot younger in the league. My goal when I started to play basketball back home was to play in EuroLeague because that was the closest top league to my country. I could play in some big clubs in Serbia and grind my way up. And now look at him. Now he's winning MVP of the biggest and best basketball league in the entire world. So he's come a long way from being, the little chubby Nikola Jokic that just wanted to play in the Euro leagues. He is absolutely just crushing. He was a runaway winner for the award, getting 91 of the 101 total first place votes and 971 total points. He played all 72 regular season games this season, just one of 11 players to accomplish that feat in the pandemic-shortened campaign while still putting together one of the best statistical NBA seasons in history. So he's just unbelievable. By statistically, he averaged 26 points, 8.3 assists, tying career best, averaging 10.8 rebounds, shot 56% from the field, 38.8% from three-point range, and 86.8% from the foul line. Like, what more can you ask for there? I mean, it's unbelievable. So, winning MVP also, there's a perk to this too. There's a perk to it in the sense that he's eligible to sign a supermax contract for all you people who love how much money, I think, Elacola, you're in this category, how much money players make nowadays. He's eligible for supermax extension since he won the MVP following the 2021 season, and he could sign a 5-year deal that would be well in excess of $250 million. Just like a little kid from Serbia, just raking in the cash. So not only is he winning and dominating on the court, but he's also going to get paid. So 5 years deal that could be in the $250 million range is well earned. Now, you might have been, it might have been Joel Embiid's award again, as I mentioned, but he has had some injuries that have kind of played in. I think it would have been between those two. There's some other people out there that are like, Chris Paul should get it or Steph Curry should get it. And I'm like, no. Now, the arguments just aren't big enough for me to justify giving any of those guys run when it comes to being MVP. So just take those off the table. Embiid is the only one that would have been close, and he would just need to play a little bit more. So far, in the course of Joel Embiid's career, he's missed enough games to add up to 3 total NBA seasons. Now, I know this first couple years he came out and he was kind of, they wanted to play it safe and keep him in a nice, regimen when it came to getting him back in place to play full seasons. But that's still not happening. We have our boy Mayday that pops in, big Philadelphia fan in the chat. I don't know if he's in yet or not. He might not pop in quite yet, but love to get his take on it as well. So that's where we're at with Joker tonight. And as of right now, he's in action. Right now, the Nuggets are down with 42.9 seconds in the first, as you can see on the screen. We're going to have that up because I'm a big Nuggets fan, and I want to make sure we're keeping track on everything going on in this Nuggets game tonight. Every time I can't watch it directly, I need to have it up somewhere. So you guys can follow along with me while we check out this score and as it evolves throughout the course of the evening. Hopefully the Denver Nuggets can be in a good spot to, win this game, take back home court advantage, and hopefully come back home and get a couple wins here. So, big congratulations to the Joker. He's well deserving of this, and I think he's one of the best. I don't know. I currently think he's one of the best players in the NBA. Obviously, not the top, with some of the big guys like LeBron and KD. But who knows? By the end of his career, where he stacks up, he could be in that top echelon. Now, that's a whole other story for a whole nother day. So we'll dive into that as his career unfolds. And maybe a couple years into this, if we're still doing this show, we'll talk about it at that point. But where do you see Nikola Jokic's trajectory in this league? How far do you see him making it when it comes to him getting into Hall of Fame stat? I mean, I think he's on his way. He's trending towards a Hall of Fame career. So congratulations again to him, and we are excited to see how he ends up. So that's our first story. So let's go on to the next one here, and that is give me 1 second here. Team USA. Now, over the weekend, we had a big game here. And that was with Team USA winning the CONCACAF championship here. And it was a match that was unbelievable. It was an incredible match. And USA ended up winning in a nail-biter. He is absolutely, this game was absolutely incredible. If you stayed up and watched, it was a little late. We were still on the air on Sunday, closing up the show as it was going into extra time, and it ended up being well worth checking out. Ella Cole in chat, he surprises me. Doesn't look super athletic and feels clunky sometimes, but is solid. Yeah, no, you're literally spot on with all those details. He's, you don't have to be athletic to make a difference in the league, and he's proven that. He each and every game he can shoot, he can rebound. Maybe his defense needs a little work, but that's about it. So as far as this USA Mexico, pretty big game, pretty big match in this one. Featured chaos on both on and off the field. The 3-2 win in extra time over Mexico to win the inaugural CONCACAF Nations League title on Sunday was one of the biggest tournament wins in USA soccer recently. It's definitely hasn't been one that has been something we're used to. Usually USA soccer is letting us down, right? They're usually just kind of just whether it's World Cup qualifying or anything along those lines, it just hasn't been anything exciting. And honestly, it's been a really big letdown from top to bottom. So the fact that we have some life in this team really makes me think that, hey, maybe there's something here that we can build off of when it comes to trying to win something, especially a World Cup. I still think we're really, really far off. Now, the reigning UEFA Champions League winner, Christian Pulisic, scored the game-winning goal for the United States on a penalty kick awarded in VAR. So VAR is like the instant replay when it comes to penalties in the box, handballs, penalty kicks, things along those lines. So this was a big one for him. Now, he was a huge story in this match. He was absolutely incredible, and he's one of the best players on this team, if not the leader and the best player on the team. He just came off his win in the Champions League with Chelsea to win that championship, comes back home and wins this one. So he's just on cloud nine. But one of the biggest heroes of this match was backup goalkeeper Ethan Horvath, who was he was thrown in the action because of an injury to Zach Steffen, went off with an injury in the second half. So at that point, it kind of looked a little daunting, right? Your best keeper is leaving the game, and honestly, we're not 100% sure what his injury is ended up going to be. I haven't heard any updates. If you guys have updates, let me know. But the biggest highlight, he had a couple highlights. A couple that just went crazy, but he had a slew of saves, but the biggest one was in extra time when Mexico captain Andres Guardado had a chance to hit a penalty kick and make it so that this game was, tied up, and we can, might go into some extra time, see what happens. But the momentum was definitely flowing from Mexico at that point. Now, Horvath ended up delivering an amazing save. It was an awful kick by Andres, but it was also an amazing save. So that preserved the 3-2 win. Now, another fun fact is, I'm from Colorado here. So, the fact that I found out he grew up in Highlands Ranch, where I currently live, is kind of fun. And the fact that this was played in Denver, his hometown, it just makes the story that much bigger and better. So that's fantastic. It was important step forward to a relatively inexperienced United States team, hoping to return to the 2022 World Cup after missing out on the 2018 competition. So this really needs to be a momentum builder. Now today, I believe, last time I checked, the USA was up against, I think it was Costa Rica, maybe, or Puerto Rico. It was one of those, and they were doing pretty well in that match. I think they were up like 4-1 maybe at that point. So they're doing well at that level. But players like McKinney, Brooks, Pulisic have started to take on more of a leadership role
in this team and trying to step up in those big moments, which is great. McKinney took a U.S. team on his back in the Mexico game. Pulisic was quiet for the most part overall in that game, but ended up delivering that clutch goal in that penalty kick. So, this team, it's going to be interesting to see how they progress forward because they're continuing to get better and younger and getting some more relevant players. We talked about Pulisic being one of the best American players in Europe in a long time, if not forever. I mean, he's been absolutely just killing it for Chelsea. So that's something that we haven't really seen before. That's new, and hopefully that's something that, again, we can build off. Now, the rivalry between the U.S. and Mexico, it hasn't really been as much of a rivalry, but this game kind of like ignited some of that, right? So there was bottles being thrown from Mexican fans at the USA team. There's it was just kind of out of control. There was fighting and kind of like roughing up on the field. There was all sorts of things going on, but it built for a nice little rivalry as of this past game. Now, it hasn't been a rivalry as far as the wins go, not in the W column, because right now, Mexico has pretty much owned the United States most recently in all of these matches. So the fact that the U.S. is definitely on the way up, and I think Mexico is definitely still one of the better teams in the league. I just think that the tides are changing a little bit more. I think you just get that vibe, right? So we're trying to close that gap with Mexico from a talent standpoint, from just a success standpoint, and they have a stronger domestic league. That's just let's just face it. Like the Mexican league is way better than the United States league, the MLS, and they just have a lot more to fall back on, when it comes to pulling really, really solid players into a sport that's the most popular in the world. I mean, United States, you got NBA, you got NFL. NFL is pretty much king, so you have that. But U.S. is still playing catch-up, and I think the more people see the United States being successful, the more maybe you can get some more athletes coming up through the pipeline and trying to be, a little bit more, prolific when it comes to USA soccer. So that's going to be the big goal here. Is trying to continue to build off of this. I think Pulisic is going to be a guy that a lot of kids, a lot of, people can look up to and really generate a lot of hype around USA soccer and hopefully make it a thing moving into the future. So congratulations to USA beating Mexico. Huge game. If you were here in the chat on Sunday, you saw everyone celebrating every single goal that came up. But yeah, it was absolutely incredible to watch that game. So, give me 1 second. Let me adjust this score here. I think I just messed it up here, but bear with me. There we go. All right, so let's move on to the next topic here. We have college football playoff. Now, this kind of popped up on the radar as of this later on in the week, but there's some interesting little notes that came out of this, and I wanted to just touch on them a little bit, see what your thoughts were, and see what you guys think about some of the changes that are coming up here when it comes to the college football playoff. Now, if you're into college football, this will definitely be, I think, a good news for you. I think this is going to be a big thing. But in a story for CBS Sports, Dennis Dodd wrote that college football playoff expansion discussions were moving faster than anyone initially thought. So doubling this college football playoff field to 8 teams is all but assumed at this point. But expansion might not stop there. Multiple industry sources tell CBS Sports it could be more potentially. So we'll see what happens. Now, this is going to be kind of a big deal when it comes to getting more teams in there. Now, a lot of people have been kind of up in arms with just, the Final Four getting in there and seeing like, okay, like, what's happening here with these teams that are on the fringe that might be really deserving and have a really good record, but maybe didn't get in. Like, what if? There's all those what ifs. And keep in mind, there's always going to be teams on the outside looking in. That's just kind of just the gist of it, right? Like, no, we see this in the NCAA tournament. There's 64 teams. There's always those last, 65th team, the 66th team that are like, we should be in too. So there's always, no matter how many teams you have, there's always going to be someone on the outside looking in. But I do think this is a good move for college football should they go to this. So since 2014, the playoff format has been centered on the top 4 teams in college football rankings at the end of the regular season. This coming after the sport moved on from the BCS ranking system, which that had its own issues and things that were going on with that. But after 7 seasons with the playoff format, there's a belief that an expansion is inevitable. So, yeah, so that's going to be something we'll keep an eye on for sure. Mayday, welcome. Woohoo, Luke Williams, first Major League Baseball home run, a walk-off with his family in the crowd. Hey, that's got to be a good feel-good, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying to think of, like, if I were in sports, what would be one of the coolest moments to be a part of when it comes to anything that happens in sports. One would be a last second shot in like the NBA to hit a game winner in the playoffs or maybe the finals to win it all. That would be an incredible one, like a big Michael Jordan style shot. Another, I think, walk-off home run. That would be a lot of fun, man. I'm not going to lie. That would be a big one. There's not really much better than a walk-off home run when it comes to, like, on the edge of your seat, trying to, get a nice solid, hit or whatever, trying to get your team to win. And you envision that, right? When you're a kid, you always envision, like, man, I'm gonna hit a walk-off, or I'm going to hit a last-second game-winning shot. Good for him. Good for Luke Williams. First Major League home run. Mayday, how you doing? How's everything going on your end of the spectrum? How you doing out there on the East Coast? So back to this college football. We're still, we'll see how this goes. If the field is indeed expanded to 12 teams, it would presumably allow for 6 automatic bids, Power 5 conference champions, and the top-ranked group of 5 team, along with 6 at-large bids. So in this format, you would probably actually see a lot more SEC teams. So if you hate the SEC, sorry, you're going to probably see more of them moving forward. So SEC will most likely go from normally a 25% of the field in like this normal college football format to maybe like a 33% field. So that's something to keep in mind when going for this, because again, the SEC is one of the stronger college football conferences, obviously. So just keep that in mind. This is a good thing, and yet still kind of maybe if you're not big on the SEC. So the committee is set to meet June 17th and 18th in Chicago, and if a change is indeed made, it will be worked out during those meetings on those dates in the 17th and 18th of June. So the news will likely be announced shortly after on what they end up doing with the new college football playoff format and if they indeed expand to more teams. So it remains to be seen how soon that will actually go through should they vote it through. It would maybe come into play, in a couple years down the line, but who knows? So we'll see and wait for that information to come through. But what do you think? What do you think about expanded college football playoffs? I mean, it's definitely going to let some of those teams in. We got some at-large bids, right? With it, I mean, you're going to probably get at least 6 at-large bids. So if you're a team that maybe doesn't necessarily get into the playoffs very often, and you think your team is like pretty good enough to compete with the top in the country, this is your chance. This is your chance to be part of something big. So we'll see. We'll see how this ends up unfolding. Meanwhile, my Nuggets continue to struggle. Nuggets right now down 37-44 with 2:05 left in the second. So we'll keep hopefully chipping away at this. Doesn't look like it's the best start for us right off the bat, but again, we'll see how this ends up playing out as the night goes on. Next story. Let's dive in here to story number 4, and that is the fallout from the Mayweather Paul. And now we've talked a lot about this and we've probably spent way too much time, but there's just like some things that I just had to just throw out there that just really were like, what's going on here? It's kind of just, it's just madness, right? It's just a media frenzy. A couple guys wanted to get paid. And if you watched it, which these last 2 or 3 like fights, these like entertaining fights, have not been the greatest fights. So, in my opinion, you should probably never buy these fights on pay-per-view. So, just throwing that out there, just as a disclaimer right off the bat. But Floyd Mayweather and Logan Paul had an exhibition this past weekend, boxing match that ended without a winner and with a lot of unanswered questions in pertaining to drama. What ended up happening. There was no knockouts officially, but there were a couple clips that Logan Paul looked like he was knocked out. And Floyd Mayweather wanted to keep the fight going, so he held him up a little bit. I saw that one. That one looks pretty substantial. I don't know. It was kind of weird. Pulisic and Horvath, sorry for not being here earlier, but USA is winning everything. Those are the same salty mix. Yeah. So Mayday, yeah, you missed out on some of the USA talk. We were talking about how the Team USA is looking solid right now. They're looking good. They have a nice young team that's got some guys that are coming in and taking some leadership roles between Pulisic, McKinney. Some of those guys are just, putting this team on their back and actually trying to change things, change what what everything looked like when it came to us being not a great powerhouse when it came to soccer worldwide. We just haven't really been relevant. Let's be honest. It hasn't been a good look for Team USA soccer. But as of right now, that's changing, and hopefully we can get a lot more solid talent into Team USA pipeline with some of the exposure that Team USA is getting now. They had a friendly today. They won that, I believe, pretty handily. So everything's looking up, and we're going to be potentially getting in that conversation for World Cup in 2022. So hopefully everything goes. But Pulisic was awesome. Horvath was insane. That save was absolutely incredible. The shot was awful. I think he was terrified to take that shot for some reason, and he just overthunk it. Like he didn't want to put it high and put it over, so he kind of kept it low. But you still have to guess right. So there's that. Deb, MPJ shouldn't be out there. He not 100%, not even 20%. Refs are not helping. Yeah, thanks for keeping me posted. I haven't really been able to keep tabs on the actual gameplay for the Nuggets here. I want to definitely check out some of those highlights, and I'm going to catch the end of that game here soon. But I'll keep trying to keep the updates coming in the chat, because again, I'm not able to keep tabs on it quite that much. Mayday, I have a name for the rundown. The chemical reaction rundown. Ooh, I like that. Okay. The chemical reaction rundown. All right, let's add that to the list. We need something, because the rundown, it's average. It's not the worst, but it's definitely not the best. So, Mayday, keep them coming. I like that one. Chemical reaction. Okay, love it. And hey, it fits. It fits with like the theme of what we got going here in the lab. Lab rat, chemical reactions. I love it. See, you can make a change. This is our show. It's not just Scotty and my show. It's the fans' show. It's you guys too. So keep them coming. But yeah. So to wrap up, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this Logan Paul thing, but it was just kind of like, these guys are absolutely ridiculous. Like, I was thinking to myself, maybe I'll buy the other fight potentially with the Jake Paul coming up here, and he's fighting in August, I believe. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll buy that. But for right now, there's no reason. None of these fights are worth my time. It's kind of bad. Now, obviously, these guys just got paid for doing absolutely nothing in the ring. It was a money-making spectacle. Mayweather made a reported $10 million guaranteed plus 50% of the pay-per-view box office, while Paul reportedly got $250,000 for his efforts and 10% of the pay-per-view sales. But, I mean, though 50% of the pay-per-view box office and the pay-per-view sales were out of control, so obviously people really got suckered into buying this. Don't ever do that. Don't ever sucker yourself into buying these. I'm still trying to just talk myself out of this next one coming up. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Mayweather at one point said he made $30 million just for wearing the shorts that he wore. After, just crazy. Absolutely crazy. So wild. And this is just it's clown stuff, but just wanted to give you a quick little update there. And finally, last but not least, we have some NFL news here. Now, the biggest news is, one, Aaron Rodgers is still not a Denver Bronco. And two, all of a sudden, this afternoon, there was some sources within the Broncos players, within the team, that have mentioned that Deshaun Watson would be interested in coming to Denver, and that was his destination. Now, Ian Rappaport came out from ESPN and mentioned that's not the case. This is, they're just saying things to get people, hyped and, trying to make some waves in the media. But it was an interesting question, though, because I wanted to bring that up to you guys on whether or not you thought that if you were the Denver Broncos, would you prefer to have Deshaun Watson as your quarterback or Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback, if you had a choice between the two? Now, one obviously is established in the league and has been around and is an MVP of the league and obviously is one of the greatest quarterbacks out there for the longest time. Aaron Rodgers, obviously. On the other hand, you have a young quarterback who's absolutely incredible, but has issues with some things off the field, some legal issues off the field. So, with that being said, if you had a choice, who would you take let's say your team was in the Broncos situation. So, Mayday, you're Philadelphia Eagles. Let's say you had a choice and they both were options. Looks like Mayday, Watson, no debate. Deb, Aaron Rodgers, hands down. So we got a couple different areas where, hey, we got either one could be. Don't get me wrong, they're both going to be great. I don't know where I fall on this side of the fence. I don't know which one off the top. Now, I was thinking about this on and off all day. At one point, I was like, Aaron Rodgers, hands down, because I was like, oh, well, I envisioned what happened with Peyton Manning. Now, Peyton Manning came in, made a huge run with the Broncos, but it's only temporary. It's only it's only a Band-Aid, right? Will we get a couple Super Bowls out of it? Potentially, because Aaron Rodgers still has a lot of game left in him. But then the more I thought about it, the more I was like, man, Deshaun Watson made the Houston Texans a really good team. Oh, not a really good team. He put up numbers with a really, really bad team. Can you imagine what he could do with an offense with Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton and all the tight ends that we signed and all of our running backs that we got? We got a nice little stable of running backs. I mean, our offensive line is still kind of iffy, but he gives you that longevity. Should he stay out of trouble, he gives you that longevity to compete in the same division and not have to go back to the well and try to figure out who your quarterback's going to be afterwards. Like, all right, we get Aaron Rodgers for 2 or 3 years, maybe get a couple Super Bowls out of it. Are you playing for the long game or the short game? And part of me is like, man, we want to get back to that long game. We want to just have some stability. And that's, I think, I always lean towards stability. Long-term stability is definitely attractive. So that would be the only argument I would have. But I think initially, Aaron Rodgers can take you to a Super Bowl today. So that's hard. It's that temporary fix. It's that, like, you need that initial injection of energy or injection of anything. Like, that's what drugs do to you, right? They just give you that. Not that I know, not that it's not my thing, but that's why people who like drugs, they just need that fix right off the bat. That's what Aaron Rodgers is. He's the drugs. He'll get you that initial Super Bowl win, maybe one or two trips to the big game, right? But then 2 years down the line, you're broke and you don't have anything else to fall back on, and then you're back to the low end stuff, right? Trying to find your way. So, from that standpoint, I don't know. I think I might lean towards Deshaun Watson, but it's close. It's close, guys. I don't know. A couple of Super Bowls is better than none short term. Yeah. You're not wrong. I would take that in a heartbeat. I mean, the Broncos obviously need to get back to that range, and I think they can. But, man, it would be hard to pass up on a Deshaun Watson. So if it's true, and this is Kareem Jackson, by the way. I don't think I mentioned that. Kareem Jackson was the one. He was on Aqib Talib's radio show. And he was talking with Aqib Talib about the fact that he's talking directly to Deshaun Watson. And Deshaun Watson's like, I want to be in Denver. Get me to Denver. Tell your people I want to be there. That's interesting, for sure. It is interesting. Mayday's Clemson boy is definitely an intriguing factor there. So, anyways, I was just curious to see what you guys thought about that, who you would want to go with. I don't think there's necessarily a right or wrong answer. I think either one is going to be way better than what we have here on the current roster. That's given the fact that, we don't have any production from, what we currently have on this roster from a quarterback standpoint. So either way, those two would be upgrades, and I would be happy with getting either one of them. So, we'll see. But, looks like we have halftime in the Denver-Phoenix game. Now, let me go ahead. I want to check the box score real quick because I haven't really been able to keep tabs on this quite as much as I would like. So, let's see. Let's go here to the box score and just kind of get a snapshot. Like, typically... Here, let me zoom out of here. All right, so starters. So Aaron Gordon, 3 for 7, 6 points. Michael Porter Jr., 1 for 8, 0 for 6 from 3. That means he's jacking up. If I'm seeing that correctly, that means he's kind of, I would say, 1, he might be more hurt than we think he is, and 2, he's probably forcing up some weird shots off the top of the screens that he usually likes to do. Nikola Jokic is bouncing back, 6 for 10, 15 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. And then Campazzo hasn't really done much. Austin Rivers is okay. 5 points, 2 for 4 from the field. Millsap, Green, Barton coming back. Actually, it looks like Will Barton's having a nice little start. Monte Morris is having a slow start. So Will Barton is finally back, has 9 minutes. I wonder if he's going to be on a minute restriction. He probably will be. But 7 points on 3 of 4 shooting, 1 from 2 from 3. So if you're looking for a bright spot there, that's exciting to see. And that's something that you really want if you're a Nuggets fan, which obviously we want to see some of those guys come back and be healthy for us, i.e. Will Barton, and looks like, yeah, that's pretty much all we have there as far as production. So Yo could just pretty much carry in the first half for us in this one. So we'll see. It's still a long ways to go, but I think we're still. If Michael Porter is having troubles, I don't know if he should necessarily be in the game. But the thing that I struggled with Michael Porter was the fact that he doesn't take the ball to the hole as much. He doesn't take the ball to the paint. He's very, very athletic, and he's very long, and he has a lot of talent that he could just take the ball to the center of the paint and just really do some things. Cut to the hole. He just loves taking some random circus threes. Can he make those? Yes. But do I want to see him every single time? I like the smart plays. So not really. But that's just where we're at with this one. So let's actually dive in on some of those playoff updates here because there has been a lot of action going on. And let's go ahead and just dive in. I want to bring up some of the other NBA games that have gone on. So the Philadelphia 76ers have come back to let me pull this window up for you guys. Give me 1 second. Let's see. So the East is kind of in a weird place, right? So originally we thought the second round would be a little bit more competitive in the other two matchups, but that hasn't necessarily been the case totally when it comes to the Bucks. The Bucks and the Brooklyn Nets haven't exactly been a competitive series. So that was one of the ones that really has fallen off for us here. But let me pull this up here, and we can dive in a little bit deeper. Let's see. Sorry, we're having a little bit of technical difficulties while I pull this up here. Sorry, bear with me. Almost there. Almost there. Gotta love live TV, huh? There we go. Okay, so back in the game here. So I want to dive in here to this Philadelphia matchup because this one is a pretty fun one, and I think this is going to be a fun series overall. So as far as this one goes, Philadelphia ended up tying the series here in the second game, and Joel Embiid has been unbelievable. So Joel Embiid there was a lot of questions coming into this with, his torn, ligaments in his knee. He was having issues, but he came out strong and he really put a stamp on some of these games when it came to this last turnaround for getting the second win against the Atlanta Hawks here. So, when it came to the Atlanta Hawks, it's mainly just slowing down Trae Young, because Trae Young is, obviously just a stud when it comes to just the playoffs so far. This is his debut in the playoffs, and he's actually been just really unstoppable. I think that first series fired him up when it came to that New York series, and he hasn't turned back since. So as far as that goes, he's ready to go, and he's definitely been playing lights out basketball. But I still had the 76ers winning this series overall. I think they looked really, really good in their second game, and they needed to, right? They did lose that home court advantage in that first little section of the series, but still, I have faith that they can come through. I know Mayday for sure. I know you have faith in your boys as well, but yeah, as far as that they go, they should be able to take this one down. I have them winning this next one in Atlanta, and then that should pretty much do it. Now, on the other end of the spectrum here, the Milwaukee Bucks series has been kind of... Oh, Mayday, you're here just in time. Yeah, let me know. I obviously have been really high on the 76ers winning this series, and I still think that that's the case. So I know you're big on them. And they looked really, really good in the second that game of that series. So what was your biggest takeaway, Mayday, from that? And what worries you? I'm curious to see what you think about Atlanta. And how far do you see this one going? Do you think it's going to be a little bit longer of a series, or do you think it's going to wrap up? I think, in my opinion, I think this is going to be a fairly quick series. I think the 76ers finally got in a rhythm in Game 2 that they can carry over for Game 3 and 4. So they kind of found that what they needed to when it came to getting production from the right players and how to get a game plan together for the Atlanta Hawks. So there's always that feel-out game. You know, LeBron has those when he plays with, in the first game in the first of a series. He always has that initial, feeler-out game, and then from there it's just like, all right, we got this. It's fine. We don't need to worry about this anymore. So there's that aspect of it. I think that's exactly what's happening here in this Philadelphia. Sixers winning Game 3. It's going to be over soon. I still love the Sixers to come out of this one. I still want to see that marquee matchup with the Sixers and the Brooklyn Nets. Now, the Brooklyn Nets, they are just absolutely demolishing Milwaukee. I didn't think it was going to be that crazy of a series, but when it came to just being blowout. So it would be in the best interest of Philadelphia to kind of get through this Atlanta team quicker so they can have a little bit of time to kind of recover, especially Joel Embiid, which he's proven that he can play even under the circumstances of having a messed up knee, torn ligaments in his knee, or meniscus, or whatever it is that he's dealing with. So that's not an issue there. I mean, the 76ers play some pretty good defense there. You got Ben Simmons, who plays good defense. You got Embiid, who's just holding down the center. The only thing we need to figure out is why Ben Simmons can't hit free throws. Mayday, tell me that. How we've talked about this on the show previously, and we're on previous shows, and we're like, well, how come he can't hit free throws? Man, that was the game. That was the difference in that first game, really. I mean, if you look at this first game, 124-128 free throws. That's a big thing. So everyone else was good on their free throws, but yeah. 40 points, yeah. No, Embiid's he's going to be a monster, man. I think he's going to be fantastic. I think all of them they're going to step up as they go through. This is great experience to get through a good Atlanta team. Do I think the Atlanta's like a great team? No, but I think it's a winnable game. Mayday. Ben is a mental wreck. Yeah, I feel like he gets in his own head sometimes. He's such a talent, and he just gets in, his own head, and it's just like, what's happening, man? Like, just buckle down. Just you're talented. Don't worry about it, right? So yeah, so we'll see what ends up happening with all of that, but yeah. So that's what we have in the one side of the bracket here, but the other side of the bracket is the this meltdown that is the Brooklyn-Milwaukee series. Now, this series has been absolutely brutal in the sense that it's just been a blowout from top to bottom. It's not even entertaining basketball to watch, you know? It's just really, really awful. I mean, 115 to 107 in that first game doesn't even indicate how awful that game was, how big of a blowout that game was. So, you know, it's just sad. Like, I had such high expectations for the Bucks in that series, and they have just really shit the bed, and I just don't know if they have any answers. James Harden isn't even playing in this one, and it's just like, what are you doing? I just don't understand why. I mean, at one point, this was it was a 49-point loss, or 49-point deficit at one point, almost 50 points, and it was 125 to 86. It wasn't even close. So, Brooklyn Nets, as much as I hate to say it, they're looking, man, they're looking better and better, even with Harden. I mean, they're not better without Harden, obviously. I don't know if Harden's coming back in this series. There's no reason for him to come back if he's battling those hamstring issues. But at this point, if you're putting away the Milwaukee Bucks this badly without him, he's sitting the rest of this series. There's no way. They want him back. They're going to need him back. And maybe they do, maybe they don't. Obviously, they're doing well without him. But it's just so fascinating to see what they've been able to put together. I keep looking up at this Nuggets score, and it just gets worse and worse and worse. And I'm like, I may just have to turn it off. I may not be able to take it. I'm not even drinking tonight. I might need to once I get off stream here. 57 to 42 right now, 10 minutes, 46 seconds left in the third. Not looking great. Man, it's not looking great. I really needed this. It's fine. If the Nuggets lose this one, it's not the end of the world. However, I would just love to split in this first trip to Phoenix. So, the other game I wanted to touch on was the Clippers game the other night. Now, this is an interesting one. Utah leads the series, ended up winning that first game of this series. And honestly, the Clippers kind of choked this one away. Again, we talked about playoff P, you know, Paul George being one of those guys that you just can't really trust. And we were like, oh, wow, last series, he was kind of coming back. He was that playoff P that we wanted to see, not the playoff P that just melts away in the playoffs. The one that gave him his unfortunate nickname. He gave himself that nickname, but then it just kind of spiraled into a bad situation. Well, we were like, oh, well, maybe he's passed that off to Porzingis, and, you know, they beat the Dallas Mavericks. They move on. And Porzingis struggled. He couldn't execute the way they needed him to in Dallas, so maybe the passing of the torch of the playoff P nickname was officially complete. And then this series starts, and then guess who's back? An invisible Paul George, who didn't really have much of an impact on this game as much as he should have, comes back and just lays an egg. You got Kawhi Leonard. I mean, I don't know. If I'm Kawhi Leonard, I'm like, man, can I get some help here? I thought this was going to be something that was going to be great to have Paul George come help me out. We had a good defensive team built up. And yet, I mean, I've never... Excuse me. I just feel conflicted in this series because I don't like the Clippers. I don't. But I don't want Utah to win this series either. So I have no idea what's going to happen here. And I still think the LA Clippers have plenty of time. They're a really good team talent-wise to take on Utah, and I think that they still have a really good chance to win the series. But, man, I don't know who – I have no idea who I'm rooting for in this one. It's kind of a weird series. So who knows where this is going to be. Next game is going to be fascinating. I think if LA can win the next game on the road in Utah, I think they have a really, really good shot to come home and potentially go up 2-1 and then be in the driver's seat from there on out. I think this is going to be a long series. I think it's going to probably go 6 or 7, but I'm kind of hoping that the Clippers end up winning this one. So we'll see what ends up happening in this series. But finally, this Denver matchup here, again, not great right now. I want to just pull up the stats here because right now it's not looking great. Let me pull up here. Let's see. So far, yeah, this is rough. Nikola Jokic is the only one in double figures with 15 points. Everyone else is just not in a good place here. So right now, 3-pointers. Oh, that's where we're losing it right there, guys. 4 for 22, 18% from 3. We've taken 22 3-point shots and made 4. There's your difference in the game right there. Free throws, we're not getting to the line. That's another difference in this game. Obviously, we're not getting the ball in the paint. We're just jacking up threes. This is not the formula that got us to this point in the playoffs. So there's some serious changes that need to take place when it comes to whoever's. I haven't watched the game, so I'm still playing catch up, but it's not looking great. So hopefully this changes up here. This is driving me to drink at the moment because it's awful. I don't even, Deb, I know you've been giving me some updates on the Nuggets game. You don't need to. I think it speaks for itself. The only way you want to give me an update is probably if we close within 10 points of this. Then it's worth it. Then it's worth getting an update on what's going on. But that's what we got right now. Again, things are coming down the pipeline quick with the NBA. It's slowly getting to a point where we're starting to see who's potentially going to come out of these series, and it's going to be a lot of fun to see what happens in the next couple games here. So the last thing I want to touch on here is the NHL. The NHL side of things. Now, the Avalanche had a big game yesterday, and that was unfortunately, that was another rough one. I feel like the Avalanche just can't get out of their own way when it comes to mistakes, and 2 or 3 mistakes that caused them to really lose that game when they had so much momentum. And this is a crazy series. So like I think it's going to be a long series. I still think the Avs are in a good place to win something here, but the momentum is completely shifted, and I don't know. I think that this is going to be one of those series that is, you just never know what to expect with who's going to win where. Now, it was absolutely huge for the Avalanche if they could have won that game yesterday. And to have that going into Vegas, which I would have thought maybe they take the momentum back, and then we had that last home game in Game 7 to kind of wrap things up and get that home crowd for a Game 7. Right now, the Avs need to win 2 straight. They played really, really well. Don't get me wrong. The Avs had the better team on the ice the majority of that game yesterday. And they just couldn't. They just had some poor turnovers and some mistakes that really cost them. When you're playing a team as good as the Vegas Golden Knights, the Vegas Golden Knights have the exact same. I mean, they're just as good as the Avalanche from the regular season record wise, and this was a lot of people are thinking, oh, like the Avalanche, they're done, they're cooked, they're not going to be able to come back from this. No, I wouldn't say that. They've faced adversity a couple times when it came to, the Vegas Knights, and this is what we expected, guys. This is a long series.
I don't want to hit the panic button. Winning 2 straight against the Golden Knights is going to be tough. Don't get me wrong. 1 game at a time, I think it's doable. But, I mean, this is a Stanley Cup potential finals. If you really, really want, if this wasn't the format that was changed, this would probably be your finals. So it's kind of wild to think that, you know, you're seeing a series this good. Now the Avs have underperformed in Game 2 and Game 3, but even though they got the win in Game 2, but I do think that they have a really good shot to still win the series. They just need to get amazing play from Gruby, their goalie, Grubauer. And I think they really need to get an outstanding performance from their top line, who kind of woke up this last game, but the Vegas Knights have really been shutting them down compared to what they have been doing previously leading up to this point in the NHL playoffs. So, hey, go Avs. I still have them coming out of this series, as daunting as it looks to win 2 straight against the Golden Knights. I still think it's possible. What do you think? I mean, let me know your thoughts. Now, we got some other surprises here, and we actually, Scott and I, my co-host Scott, who, if you're just joining me, is not with us tonight. He was actually, him and I did some predictions pre-NHL playoffs, and we actually had this 4 seed, the New York Islanders, making it to this point in the playoffs, which is crazy to think that, you know, there a lot of teams really have, no matter what, you have a good chance to make it pretty far, regardless of your seed. And we had goaltending and defense and grinding out games the keys for the New York Islanders to make it to this point. And sure enough, they did what they had to do, and they put away Boston here to win the series 4-2 earlier on this evening. So they are in the driver's seat moving forward here to play the winner of the they are playing Tampa Bay. So Tampa Bay ended up advancing 4-1, actually just really crushing Carolina. I mean, I thought Carolina was actually going to put up a little bit more of a fight in that series. Then not the case. But this Islanders and Tampa Bay series is going to be one that I'll really, really be keeping my eye on. It's a really exciting series, actually, given the fact that, like, you know, I haven't really watched a lot of either of these two teams so far this playoffs, or I should say during the season. These two teams have really come on and really played well in the postseason. And that's, I mean, anytime you can get hot at the right time, you want to get hot at the right time. And that's what the Islanders are doing. The Tampa Bay, you knew they were going to be in the conversation here. And they've been playing pretty well in this playoffs. Especially, I mean, Florida's no slouch. Carolina's no slouch. Honestly, at this point, it wouldn't surprise me if the Lightning won it all and won back-to-back. That's how good they can be. And so we'll see if they can end up carrying that momentum. But the other 4 seed that ends up coming out of this would be the Canadians, who they're just chilling. They're hanging out. They're relaxing. They're taking their time, resting up. And they are holding on to see who they're going to play from this Colorado Avalanche Vegas Golden Knights series. So that's going to be, I don't know, having that much time off for a team as hot as they were. First of all, winning in Game 7 of the first round of their series against the number 1 Toronto Maple Leafs, but coming out fast and just sweeping the Winnipeg Jets in the second round, I almost think it's maybe to their detriment that they have won this quickly. Now, whatever team ends up coming out of the Vegas and Colorado series, I think is going to be primed and ready, just coming off of this win and just in that zone to where I think they're going to put away Montreal, but crazier things have happened. Can you imagine, guys? Can you imagine a Montreal New York Islanders Stanley Cup final? How would that look? You want to talk about ratings? Ratings are a big deal for the NBA. Ratings are necessarily, I mean, obviously TV ratings for hockey are a little different. NBA is definitely a much bigger league with bigger, you know, television deals and things along those lines. But
I don't know if that seeing Montreal, New York Islanders finals is necessarily going to be in the best interest of the NHL. You would hope not. I mean, I would still watch the series to see what happens, but you want to get your best teams in there. I would say Tampa Bay and whoever comes out of this series up here in the Avalanche Vegas series, I think would be it'd be a sexier matchup, right? But who knows what's going to happen there. It's just interesting. But we called it. We called the New York Islanders to come out of that series or that quadrant of this playoff bracket. And sure enough, look where they're at. That series gets going, I believe, here soon. So I think they have a couple days off before they jump into that one because the Islanders just came off of that win earlier on this evening. So we'll see what ends up happening there. But, yeah, that's where we're at right now. Now, I want to just go over some stuff that you guys want to talk about. Now, typically, we like to save our last, little chunk of time on the stream to make sure that we're covering all the topics you want to cover. And that's top to bottom, anything you want, whether that's, I don't know, how your week's going, what your favorite team is right now, what kind of, just anything. Whatever you want, we can cover it. So let me know if there's anything. Keep me posted, obviously, on anything that's going on. I know the Maydays Phillies were playing a little bit earlier. They were down early on in their game. Obviously, all of our teams are losing, or they were losing. I don't know how the Phillies are doing as of right now, but my Nuggets right now are getting crushed by 20, and it's not looking good. Now, let me go back in here real quick. I have to see what's happening with this. Because the fact that we're still struggling as much as we are in this game is really... So, still shooting some threes, still not getting to the paint. Only 6 free throws, 5 of 6 from the free throw line. It's just looking rough, guys. These aren't the things that we need to be successful. We need to make sure that we're getting a little bit better, more out of our team than this. Deb, a great birthday present would be a Nuggets win. Oh, yeah, it's your birthday. Happy birthday, Deb. Let's get some happy birthdays in the chat for Deb because it's her birthday today. Happy birthday. We got to celebrate. Next time, I think we're celebrating Friday potentially. So, hey, it'll be fun. Can't wait for that. But I'm with you. I would love to deliver. Maybe I need to give Michael Malone a quick call during this game and try to get him to pick his shit up and try to get this team a little bit more of a presence in this game, because right now it looks like they're slowly kind of coming back and chipping away. If they can close this game to 10 before the end of the third is over, I love our chances in the fourth quarter, but I think we need to cut it to at least 10 to even have a chance here. Looking at some of these others, so Will Barton is one of the bright spots here, joining Nikola Jokic. Everyone else is kind of just underperforming. Michael Porter Jr., 21 minutes, 5 points, 4 rebounds. Not looking great there. So it's just a rough go here. Now, what do you think is going to happen in this series? I still think Denver's got a chance. I do think that they need to get some they need to get healthy too, but for some reason, I don't know. It's going to be a little bit tough to get people healthy right off the bat. So let's see. Michael Porter still 1 for 8 from 3. I don't know what to say, guys. I don't know what to say. It's a tough one. 76-58. It's a long series. I'm not too worried. If we lose this one and lose the next one at home, it's done. I think we'll have a huge momentum boost. Another big aspect of them coming back home to Denver is the fact that I think we're at a full capacity from here on out for Avalanche and for Nuggets. Avalanche missed out on an opportunity last night with their unfortunate loss at home in front of a big crowd. Nuggets can't do that. So I think the big Nuggets crowd will be a huge, huge momentum boost for them moving forward. So hopefully that's the case. By the way, if you're here, thank you so much for being a part of the stream. Again, throw out whatever you want. This is viewer's choice, so this is your opportunity to really talk about anything you want. Throw it in the chat. It could be NASCAR, boxing, football, basketball, baseball, whatever you want to talk about. This is your opportunity to get whatever you want to talk about and throw it out there, and we can chat about it. So let's get that out there. If you're here and you're not following the channel, you know, it would mean a lot for you guys, for us, if you follow the channel. It means a lot to both Scott and myself, who will be back here on the stream on Sunday. We have a lot of new things coming down the pipeline in the next month or so. So we want you to be there for them. So every single time that we go live, if you're following, you get all those notifications on, you know, popping in and joining a stream. So make sure you pound that follow button. And I would love to, you know, see those familiar faces each and every week in the chat. So, again, before we wrap up here, anything that you want to talk about, throw it out there while I suffer through more of this Nuggets game because it's not looking great. Who do you got in the NBA? Who do you got in the NHL? By the way, we were talking a little bit earlier, if you're just joining us, about who you would rather have as a quarterback for your franchise. If you had a choice, if you had between Aaron Rodgers and Deshaun Watson, who would you pick? Let me know, because obviously it's a tough choice for me. I'm kind of torn, but if you have a specific you know, preference on why you think one would be better than the other for at least the Denver Broncos, for me, it's tough. But maybe you have an idea that you would rather have for your team. So throw that in the chat. Let me know what you think. Let's see. So, yeah, we'll be back here. Just a heads up. So Sunday, we'll be back on our normal time, 7:30 Mountain Time, 9:30 Eastern. So we'll be covering a lot of the local sports here in Colorado. We'll be covering more viewers' choice. We have we're going to be doing some fact and fiction on some various topics that are going to be popping up throughout the course of the rest of this week. And we think you're going to have a lot of fun with that as well. We haven't had that segment in a while, so we're excited to bring that back. And then coming up here in the next couple weeks, we're going to have that guest come back on, and we'll be able to get them involved and have some fun with some new blood in the Action Lab. So that'll be a lot of fun as well. But if you guys don't have anything else, we are probably going to wrap up the stream here shortly. So I want to thank each and every one of you for being a part of the stream. Even if you didn't chat, if you're here and you're just hanging out on the sideline, means a lot. So thank you for just coming in and watching and being a part of it. If you're, you know, here and you feel like you enjoyed, you know, what we got going on our stream, hit that follow button again. It means a lot. We are here to get you through your week, give you some entertainment, talk about some sports, and make sure that you guys are having a good time in the process. So hopefully you guys can keep rolling with us, and we look forward to seeing you back here in the lab on Sunday. Otherwise, I hope you guys all have a fantastic rest of your week. It's almost the weekend. We're almost there. And, yeah, we can't wait to see you back here in the lab on Sunday. So thank you so much, and we love you guys. We will see you then. Go Nuggets. See if they can come back here. By the way, it's not looking good. They're going the opposite direction, by the way. I said they'll close it to 10 before the end of the third. They're actually going more towards the 20-25 range, so that's not looking great. But I'm gonna go drink my sorrows away and watch the rest of this game, unfortunately. So pray for a comeback. Pray for a big comeback here. We need it. So